right, welcome to another episode of Assist and Anime. We had a great time on the first episode. In this episode, we are back again on episode 2. Just a reminder to everyone, we film early in the week, so if anything happens in the sports world or anime world that we might miss or not bring up, don't hold it against us. It comes out on Friday, so I know we might be filming a little bit closer down the line. Just it's scheduling conflicts. But Jason, welcome back. I'm glad that our first episode I think went off great, and it was a lot of fun to talk about anime news and updates and things that we watched and what was going on in the NBA world and Doc Rivers and beating Cats big nights. I think it's a new week, new topics of things to go, man. I'm excited to get this going.
Oh yeah, excited to dive into it. This is one of my favorite subjects right here.
Yeah, I think this one is an interesting subject. I think it's one that people I don't know. I always feel we're going to talk about top anime villains, our favorite anime villains, and then some of our um villains we kind of understand better today, and maybe that we hated when we were younger or didn't really understand. But I think when I was growing up, I think I hated characters like when I was younger in the anime world, and then now when I look back at it, these guys I have on my list, I'm like, man, I hated that guy, and now I'm like, oh yeah, I like this character's like awesome and like one of my favorite characters to watch, and couldn't wait for him to die. But now I'm like, man, I wish there was like a story about them as well too.
The show just isn't the same, you know what I mean? So I'm into villains.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I don't if you I could do you want me to start or do you want to start?
Yeah, you start. You start. You
All
start. You
right,
start.
I'll start. So I'm going for my favorite anime villains, and I think our villains list and the definition of villains are a little bit different, so we could definitely discuss it after, and I'll kind of list it off. My starting with Cell from Dragon Ball Z.
Classic.
Yes, I love the Cell arc one of all. It's my favorite Dragon Ball Z arc. Um, just the story and everything about like the androids and Cell and his character and what he does to the Z fighters makes them get to another level that they need to be at, and it's just a phenomenal like written arc and with him, and he just brings out like the best in every character, and the fight between him and Goku is probably one of my all-time
Oh yeah.
favorite fights.
Highly anticipated too. Highly.
Right, right.
I'm waiting for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
like remember being
What
a
about like Cell before? Like
what's that? What's that?
about base form Cell?
Yeah,
The personality, like there's character development with Cell as he absorbs different androids. So I thought that was cool too because he's kind of timid and now when he absorbs everybody, he's like, oh yeah, I got this under control. It's a whole different personality. I feel like.
right. And it's like the perfect Cell is like cocky and knows that he's powerful, and like the first form before he absorbs one of the androids is very timid and not sure, and then it seems like the second form he's just like very focused on trying to get to the other android and thinks he's still powerful but knows he can be more powerful with it. But that whole character development of him, and then I think just all the characters in Dragon Ball Z taking it to another level of just trying to defeat him, I thought was one of my favorite things of
Good villain make the protagonist level up. I
right.
mean, not just level up physically too, like mentally, which will as we get down the line, that's another thing too.
Right, exactly. My second on my list is Char's Aznable, from Gundam, the original story. So Gundam was, what's that?
Also classic.
Yes, also a classic. So I think you might see a theme of mine here. Um, yeah, Char, something about his character when I first when I was first introduced into anime, Gundam was one of the original animes I watched. My buddy had the movies back in the
Mm,
day, VCR for those who are
mm.
watching back on the VHS. So
Oh
I
yeah.
watch
Oh,
those. Yeah, right.
oh man, on the VHS. You know,
Oh.
anybody that's watching, y'all might not know what a VHS is, but it's very.
I'll have to find my old VHSs of Dragon Ball Z. I have to bring them out here, and show everyone.
Yeah. Funny thing about Char is like when I got onto Gundam, like I didn't get in at the beginning. Like I thought Char was like the main guy for a little bit, like just his swag, and people I talked to liked him more than the MC. I was like, so you're just talking about the villain? Like, yeah, he's crazy. His dad and all this stuff. I'm like, wow. So yeah, so that's a good pick. That's a good
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Char. His character is awesome. And then sticking with the Gundam theme, I'll go with Zex Marquise from Gundam Wing, which is a gray area too, because he's a villain, he's not a villain, then he's a villain again, and then he's not a villain in the movie. It's very, very interesting, but his character development is so
Mm,
phenomenal in Gundam Wing.
right.
And Gundam Wing is one of my favorite animes of all time. I just love the story and everything of all those guys. But yeah, Zex is takes the cake as one of my favorite. Loved his mobile suit Tallgeese 3 in the Endless Waltz movie as well too. That was my favorite.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
and
that's a good.
then we'll go to Hand of God. Yeah, Hand of
Of
God from Samurai Champloo. Can't go wrong with a Hand of God. I love his fights between Gene and Mugen and back to Gene. Phenomenal fights. The character, I mean, it shows up in 3 episodes and literally just like takes the cake. It is just such a great samurai. The background, they give you so much background on him and such like a small.
Mhm.
I would love a side story of him if they could ever do one in Samurai Champloo or something like that, just to learn more about him. But my God, ultimate badass, ultimate badass.
Very analytical.
Yep.
You know, time to do things, gets it done. Like that fight's crazy.
Yeah, it's that the fight with him and Gene, like the first one that they do where they're on like the dock fighting,
Mhm.
and that first of all the animation too, oh, phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. And the differences between the fighting styles, you can see it. Like you
Right.
can really see it. Like Mugen and Jin don't fight nothing alike. Like you can see that animation right there. That fight was with Hand the Guy was good.
Yeah, it was. And Light Yagami from Death Note.
Is he
Light,
a villain?
I that's the thing. I think he's the protagonist antagonist. He is the character that he is I don't see this is the thing that makes a villain. He makes a villain as in the sense he's killing a bunch of people, he's murdering, but he's also murdering for good in some sort. Like he's trying to make a safer
Yeah,
world, and I think
yeah,
that's something
yeah.
we'll also get into of like guys we better understand today. Like, but
Right.
his
Oh, for sure.
character, they make him seem like a psychopath, but I don't know. It's very interesting.
But he's a genius at the same time. They did a great job with that. So either you like or you don't like him. Like you can still I feel like you can still be a protagonist and still be a villain.
Right,
Just rooting for the villain and he's a protagonist, yeah, yeah. But in his universe, in his world, he's the villain.
right,
Kind of. I
right.
like relative.
Yeah. I was like people like Light, or I think they like went to L too as well as like the other character that they like, which is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And then my final is Vicious, sticking with the same means of Samurai Shampoo, Vicious from Cowboy Bebop. Obviously, just like one of the better villains. Shows up in about a handful of episodes, maybe like 5 tops,
Mm-hmm.
and just is the ultimate killer. I don't know, just like has like a killer mentality. Him and Spike, best friends that turn villain, like that turn against enemies. Just great
Yeah.
story. I love everything when he shows up, and just all time favorites right there for
I
me.
mean, that's classic friends into foes development. Like, but it's so intense. It's like it's almost like Vicious. He loves Spike. Like,
Right.
but this is what he does. Like, I gotta kill you, bro. Like, it's not even hate. I feel like it's more like I have to do it. Like it's like a calling. Like that's what made it weird for me. Like when I was watching this, I was super young. I was way younger than I am now. And I was just like, what's going on? Like, I didn't understand it at first. I got better as I got older, just
Yeah.
thinking about
Yeah, I think it was one of those two things too where Vicious like he missed the old Spike, I think of like he used to be like me, like a killer,
it.
and then he changed his
Right.
ways. And it was just like I think that scene, that famous church scene when they're up where Spike falls out the window is like one
Yeah.
of the all-time like amazing scenes. Like just the
Yeah, but
song and the
reasons like we got the same blood. We got the same blood. It's like,
yeah.
damn, how good can it be, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, even Spike was somebody's bad guy, right? You know what
Right,
I'm saying? His universe at some point in time, but
right.
he changed. Yeah.
It's so good, man. All right, Jason, I can't wait to hear your list. I can't wait to see what you got for us.
Mine is a little bit less dated, old
Okay.
man. So this is no particular order. So the first villain I thought about was Muzan from Demon Slayer. I mean, Demon Slayer is so visually captivating that it's hard not to watch it. You know what I'm saying? But Muzan is just a different kind of. He's a different kind of villain for me because it's so like he'll kill anybody. Like he doesn't care, and I
Right.
like a good villain that's totally evil. Like there's a space for that in my heart for a villain that's like totally evil. So that's what I love him, and he's overpowered.
Yeah.
Have you got the Demon Slayer?
I honestly I haven't seen Demon Slayer yet. And that's on my list.
It's gonna absolutely blow your mind, like award winning. All right, so after Muzan, I got Mahito,
Yep.
of course, because he's actually working his way into like my favorite villain, just because they wrote him so we would hate him. You
Right.
know, it's like from what he's doing. Like you're watching this show and you're thinking like, okay, this is the moment where somebody comes in and finally puts this guy down, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna just kill everybody on the. You know what I'm saying? He's just going crazy. So no spoilers, but he goes absolutely nuts, and I can appreciate that. Next is Aizen from Bleach,
Okay. Yeah.
OG anime. Um, Aizen is he's overpowered, man. Like you go through the story, and then all of a sudden you find out this guy has been doing hundreds of years of plans. Like he's been a villain the whole time, and you never even know. So that surprise is what gets me. Do you like that? Like it feels weird, like not
Yes.
knowing the villain until the villain really comes to play. You know what I mean?
It's awesome. I think I like the fact that like characters can like maybe the people that like them or there's development with the characters and then they just come out to be the bad guy or the main bad guys. The favorite, like probably one of my favorite things, and especially if it's someone you don't really expect or you might suspect but you don't really suspect at the same time. It's just like it just makes it so good.
It does. It threw me for a loop because I wasn't ready. I
Right.
was, and then he explained. Animes are good at explaining everything you don't know, and then he explained everything, and I was like, oh, that's so good. Like, and the fight, amazing. Like his fights with Ichigo are like the scale of these fights goes up out of nowhere. So it's like on top of surprising me that you're a villain, not only are you a villain, but you're like an overpowered villain, some level up to, right? So and that's the purpose. All right, next. This is kind of a weird one too. This kind of like Light is Aaron Yeager from Attack on Titan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is he a villain though for you?
You know, I don't know. I honestly I don't think so. I just feel like his motives, yeah, I mean, genocide's not good, first of all, but what he's doing, but like his motives were, I think, misconstrued of like how he went about like what he wanted to do for his friends.
Mm.
And I think, or for like, how he did it wasn't right. But again, he saw a future and when he like touched that girl's the princess's hand or
Mhm.
and I think that's what kind of led him down this path that there could be no other way. But it was very his characters is very that show first of all twisted my heart a bunch of times. So many twisted turns.
So even down to the artistry, like
Right.
that is a depressing show.
Right.
It's a like I don't even know how else to say it. So that's why for me, I teeter totter, but I love Aaron's character, and he's definitely a villain. Like I mean,
Yeah.
he's definitely a villain, but he is the protagonist, and I think that so this is different to where you see the villain from the beginning of the show all the way up, and all these things that you thought that you knew about the character, they're still there, but they've manifested in a different way. So
Right.
it's brought out like a different part of the character. So that's why he has a place for me. And lastly, I kind of had a question mark by this, but Doflamingo from One Piece.
Everyone
Who does
loves.
love Doflamingo.
I know.
He's great. He's
Everyone
great.
loves him. Everyone loves him. He's like, I think it was, didn't they like the photographer who sh shot with Jonathan Majors before everything went down for like the promote Creed 3,
Mm.
they dressed him up in Doflamingo like
Oh, in the
as
heck
yeah, in
with
the
the
photo shoot. Yeah, all in that.
oh, I
Yeah.
didn't see that. I didn't see that. Oh, and his style, man. Come on,
Yeah.
Doflamingo is just you don't have a lot like that, and so the way the how maniacal he is, and he just believes in his own power. Like, and you gotta love a villain that has confidence. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, and backs it up. Like, so
I
those are my little old, little new. I'll take that. I try to be not so aged. Try not to show my age too much. But yeah, those are my. For me, the villain makes the anime
right.
point, and that's why Aaron got in because I didn't even know who he was until he got pushed into a corner.
Right.
You know, and so and that'll make you a villain. That's real life right there. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I showed my age big time in this one, but but I can't help it. I like there's animes that I always go back to no matter what, and those are the animes like those six that I always go back to and will always end up watching to refer back to. And but the I like the way I don't know. I liked yours because yours were more it was a mix of modern and
Mhm.
old, and I think you made some good choices. Characters honestly I didn't even think about who came up first. I like those are guys that I never like Mahito. I literally just watched JJK and I haven't and I didn't even think of him as like a villain that like a one of my favorite villains, but he is so good. His character's so good. His development's so good.
My calls him the what's the kid from Game of Thrones?
Oh,
Is it
Joffrey?
Joffrey?
Yeah.
So he's like Joffrey of Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, so that's what my friend said. And I thought that was pretty true. Any villain that can get you to hate them and
Right.
not want on the show, but kind of want to see them on the show still, that's a good villain.
Right.
That's a there for sure.
Yeah, I'm a fan of villains like that. I'm a fan of villains that give us like epic battles or like push the main characters to a limit where they'll they don't really that you haven't seen him put in that position before, like the Hand of God with Gene, almost like killing
Yeah,
Gene. Zex was always pushing Hero. I mean, Char and Amuro Ray are forever like intertwined in the Gundam universe forever. I
right.
mean, they show up just not in Gundam, they show up in like Gundam Zeta,
Mhm.
they're in Char's Counterattack, they're in a bunch of stuff. So they're always like forever intertwined. Um, yeah, Light is a character though. Light is just like Aaron. It's like one of those characters that you just wanted to like hate. Like you liked him, but you hated him, I feel like at sometimes because you felt like
Yeah,
he's
but
too arrogant about shit.
yeah, that's what it is. And like, so it's like, also you got to take into account like age, right? So if you're watching Death Note at 13, 14 years old, you want to have a whole nother take on it at 25. You know what I'm saying? And then at 35, and then if, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could probably look at Death Note now and be like, that doesn't sound to me. Like, I get it. It might not be right, but I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's a good point. That brings us up to our next topic of as we get older, and you and I have had this discussion, and now we're bringing it to light on the podcast, is villains that we understand better today, and guys that I think we you look at as like guys that you might have hated or you thought were cool but didn't really understand. Just like you just saw him as a villain at a young age, but now when you look back at it, you're like, oh wow, these guys were like you said, being in our 30s. Like I kind of understand it. But I think Madara, we'll start with Madara. His task was he wanted to rid the world of hatred and war. And the way he obviously overpower OP villain, just ultimate badass. Come on, taking on the whole society of the Shinobu.
whole army and then talking trash the whole time though. It's one thing. It's one thing standing for a group of people and start beating everybody up. It's another thing to start talking trash while you do it and giving out compliments. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
Right.
great try. You know what I mean? Like that. I love Otto. And I think what's so good about him is that we got to see if he would have won, right?
Right.
And that small little clip in, and I was like, wow, Madara didn't have bad intentions. I mean, he might have went about it the wrong way, but I definitely can understand wanting to put everybody in jiu-jitsu and everybody just be peaceful.
Right. Exactly. And it's like a good way to do it. I like how I like to see I started the voice actor recently do like the voiceover for like they kind of were in Boruto, like someone did like the Boruto with when Naruto was coming back up, and they were trying to make it like seem like Boruto was part of the new Naruto world where like this was your dream, Naruto Uzumaki, and like
Mm-hmm.
that Madara actually won. And I thought that
Mm-hmm.
was really cool. It would have been wild that how
That,
it went
oh,
down.
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Maybe more than I would. Yeah.
yeah. Our next, we both agreed the next guy is Aaron Yeager. Um, I mean, you can go back, you can give us some detail on this one.
Aaron, I probably understand him more than I can recognize the parallels of having a group of people, the Titans, and wanting to protect them, I guess you could say, or protect his friends and his family. But he's a good example of when you get pushed into a corner, what happens. It just depends on the scale of power, right? Like you get pushed into a corner, if the best you can do is write a letter to your senator, that's what you're gonna do. But
Right.
if you just take over everything and you have the power to do so, that's another thing. And I feel Aaron. He wants to protect his island, his people.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. It was interesting because they were marked as villains outside the world. They're marked as
Right. Right. So that's fighting back. It's kind of like borderlining. Am I fighting back or am I the aggressor? You know what I mean? If you're fighting back, that makes you more of a hero. You're just trying to stand your ground. But going out of you know the realm of your immediate space to go try to you know
yeah, go after go
another,
go after people. And yeah, I mean, I understand it. Protecting his family and his friends and everyone is I mean, I shouldn't, well, I guess his friends are his family, but like protecting his kind and the people from and with inside the walls was the mostly the biggest
oh,
thing.
like all this information came out after what
Right.
so imagine being lied to all this time. It's you can kind of put the elements together when you're a grown adult. As a kid, it's like, oh, he just running around doing whatever. But as an adult, like, dang, I kind of can understand it. Kind of the thought process is it's not too far off. You know what I mean?
Right, right. It's definitely not. The next character we'll go with, I mentioned him as my villain, one of my favorite villains is Light Yagami. He wanted a world of no villain, like no evil or no crime or anything, and what he was for writing people's names that were in prison or causing
Murder.
issues and death to and like it says death to those who are detrimental to society, and that's what he was doing. He was trying to protect those who were his like enemy and protect. I mean, yeah, not protect those who were his enemy, protect those who were like he wanted to save or like keep a peaceful world and just went a very interesting way. And I at that point, like when you look at it too, like he was killing prisoners, but there are also people, and why are they just
Right,
dropping? Right.
right, right. And you kind of like so listen. So the first time I saw this, I was like, I was younger. I was like, oh yeah, inmates. I don't care about them. Get them out of here. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
But as I got older, I saw the fallacy in his logic. Like, first of all, if you give someone who's addicted to logic all that the power of life and death, then they're going to be black and white with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's either right or wrong. But I can see a person being like in today's society. Like, I could see someone being like that because they don't understand reconciliation or rehabilitation, and you know what I'm saying? They don't understand those things. So it's like, you did something wrong one time. Hey, get you out of here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think you're right. I could see something like that now. I don't. It's just it's a very interesting. It's one of those things. I think same thing as Eren Yeager, Light and Aaron. I think it's those fine line of like what makes them the protagonist, what makes them the antagonist. Like how much of a villain do you think they really are behind their beliefs, and
Right.
like everything. And that's it's a good. Those two characters are like I think those are one of my favorite things too. Is like when the protagonist is the antagonist, and it's like one of those things that throws you off. Aaron threw me off big time. I was totally shocked by
The whole thing threw me off. Like just from the beginning of the season, threw me off. I was like, did I miss something? I went around looking,
that.
where's season two? I'm like, what's going on? Oh, this is it.
Yeah.
So that threw me off, off, off.
I threw in finally. I just threw in Itachi. I think Itachi was one of those villains that everyone um loved. That wasn't really a villain, a guy that kind of sacrificed so much for his village to protect his village when people didn't really realize that he was protecting his village and what he wanted to do to get back to Leaf Village. And definitely, like at the end, redeems himself, becomes like a good guy. Obviously, after he's passed in reanimation, no spoilers for anyone. But releasing the reanimation jutsu on some on other
Wow.
characters out there, it was fantastic. His story is just so
One of the best written characters I've ever seen.
right, right.
Best. One of the
25,
best.
I think he's in 25 episodes, and everyone is like, it was like everyone's favorite character out of like Naruto. I think it was like 300 or 400 episodes. I don't know. I could be making that up, but like Itachi's characters,
Probably. Yeah. Yeah,
it's crazy.
it's funny. Itachi was like one of them dudes, like, he was a villain for so long. Like, for so long. Like, his redemption was just. Eh.
Yeah,
I mean, I kind of wanted him to stay a villain.
right.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, the story's great. I love the story. But me and my friend was arguing about Itachi the other day, and he was like, well, Itachi had to do what he had to do because of the Hokage and what was going on. He broke down like the entire situation, how they lived outside the village, and they was like, we'll let you be the police or whatever. Just kind of put them on the outside, and then having to be, you know, having to do something that would make you a villain, which is what he did. And then I think he got the redemption he deserved, but I wanted him to stay a villain the entire time. I don't know what it is about that, but I
I,
would have. Anyway,
I mean, I could see. I mean, I would want him to stay a villain too. I did like that whole the Akatsuki like arc of Naruto. I think that's probably one of my favorite, villain groups too. Those characters are just unbelievable, good storyline, but it adds to it as well. So,
for
um,
sure.
yeah. But I think that's. Do you have any more guys or anything?
Those are guys I think about. All I think you would be kind of scared if you knew how much I thought about Madara. You got a point, man. Just saying.
He's yeah, I mean he had a good point. And then he wanted to end the hatred of war, but the way he wanted to do it, just I don't know, it was the best approach, a roundabout way to do it. But
Approach.
yeah.
All
But
right.
I love it. Yeah, I mean that's our anime talk for this week. I think next week we'll give you guys some more. Maybe we'll do some heroes that we like or heroes that
How about heroes we hate?
yeah, heroes we hate, and yeah, we can do heroes we hate, or heroes we wish we saw go to villains, or
Oh,
yeah, one of those two. I think, or both. I think that would be good for next week as well too. I think that'll be a good one for everyone. As we jump into the assist part of the podcast, we have some NBA stuff going on. Obviously, the biggest thing that's going around is a 65 game rule for season accolades. Um, Jason, definitely need your thoughts on this. You know guys in the NBA, you know how grueling it is for those guys. You work with those guys. Like what are your thoughts on the 65 game rule?
I'm kind of on the fence about it because the the thing is my experience with basketball overseas is nothing like the NBA. Even though I know what's going on, I know those guys and stuff. So for us, if you can survive in the league, and you should get something, like you get something, you know what I mean? If you deserve it. For the league to have 80 games and to have such a demanding schedule, some of these guys, they play heavy minutes. And that it's tough to play 80 games all those minutes, you know what I mean? So I could see how it would be bad, but as a fan, I want to see the guy that's playing in the All-Star game that was making a difference in all of those other games. That's my deal. And if you only play 50 games, I mean, you missed 30 games, dog. 30 games?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, 65, maybe they need to knock that down a little bit, but for the fans, your guy that you love is going to be playing more often than not. You don't have to worry about load management. I think it's a rule to impose onto the culture of the NBA, not so much as a rule for the accolades. They're trying to get these guys to come out and play more,
Right. So I understand like that it's a grueling season and everything. I do think it's good. I know for me, for being a fan and having paid tickets and guys not played because of injuries. Well, injuries are acceptable. That's totally fine, but just the
Right.
load management
Just
and
sitting. I'm talking about sitting out.
right.
Just sitting out.
Right.
Nah.
And maybe they need to do something about it. I don't know. Maybe they need to change it like in a sense of like if you have like a proven injury that you can't
Right.
play the game, maybe that doesn't count as a 65, like towards the game rule. I don't know. Like they may have to like figure a way to like fine print or something like that because I feel like that's also not fair. You can't control if you have like a torn ligament or
For sure.
or something like that. You can't control injuries. I think you can control load management, but I know for me, like when I went to the Celtics game versus the Clippers, I bought them for my ticket, bought the tickets for my nephew because he's a big Westbrook guy. My biggest fear was Westbrook sitting out, like for that game. And that was like the biggest, like for me to like to sweat it. I'm like reading online, like trying to see same thing. Like I was trying to figure things out. Like I was surprised Kawhi, Paul George, and James Harden all played that game on a back-to-back night too, which was nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy. See,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing, but see, I think the NBA needs to do. It's a push on culture. Like for me, it's like you got this culture where these players, they get millions and millions and millions of dollars, right, to play a game for 48 minutes, and for you to be like, I'm tired. You're a millionaire. You make
Right.
millions and millions of dollars. Like injuries, I can understand. You don't want to make those injuries worse or end your career at worst case scenario. But at the heart of the matter, you're a basketball player. Basketball players are tired. That's normal. It's seeing you overcome those things that really make you really good. You know what I mean? And I feel like if I got to sat down like every time I was tired, I wouldn't play a whole lot.
Right. I wish I could sit down every time I was tired not to go to work every day. It would be
Right?
great. I'd be fired if I missed the more than 30 days at work or something like that without vacation time.
Exactly. Being tired is not a reason to sit out of a game. I
No.
don't believe in that at all.
And I like throw this out there too. How would you feel if they reduced the games to 65? Like in a season instead of
Being tired,
82, 65 game regular season.
if as long as there's some brackets in place that people need to play,
Right.
and that might be the incentive for them to play because now those games count more. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For that, as a player, yes. As a fan, no.
No. Yeah, right.
And I want to see as many games extend the season, if anything. But as a player, yeah, man, that's a lot of games.
Yeah, that's a lot of 82 games is grueling. That's tough.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
a lot of travel. But yeah, it'd be interesting how how it is and where it goes, if they fine print it, figure some kind of rule out. But I mean, as well too, if you look at it, like some guys like Jordan played 982
Yeah, yeah.
like 9 season, 82 regular season games. That's crazy.
That is insane.
Right?
And he played it at a high level. You know what
Right.
I mean? So, and the game isn't as physical now, but there's a lot of non-contact injuries. So, small injuries, but they need to be labeled as injuries, not as load management, because that is ridiculous.
It is. And John Stockton played 16 82 season games.
Come on, this is a skinny white boy and he's playing hard. He's playing
Right.
hard. So yeah,
It's crazy. It's
even
nuts.
as a player, no man, play the game. Play
Right.
the game. Suck it up. You're tired. So what? You mad? Whatever. Play the game. That's what you
It's
get paid $100 for.
it's crazy. It'd be interesting what they do going forward. But yeah, I mean, as a fan and paying for tickets that are outrageously expensive and
Mm-hmm.
gonna go see like I said mentioned before, nervous about going to see your favorite player, but also taking a kid's favorite player who you're just
Right.
praying that he plays. Because like at that point, I'm an adult. I'm not too worried about it. I like to watch basketball, period. It doesn't matter. I mean, it'd be nice to see the best players out there, but for a kid that is obsessed with a player who nowadays I think we're in a world where people don't have fans of teams, it's their favorite players and where they
Right.
go.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
I think it's
Exactly.
unfair to those kids.
Yeah. And so like it's like the game's not even happening anymore. Like my favorite guy is not playing. So why do
Right.
I even?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Next we have going on is Doc Rivers is named the All-Star coach, head coach. He did say he was going to give the ring and the bonus check that he got to Adrian Griffin.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
yeah, but it was very interesting to see. He kind of said it was a dumb rule that he got voted in. Since he only coached for like, I don't know. I don't know how many weeks, like a week or so now, or 2 weeks
Yeah.
since.
Yeah. Week.
Yeah.
That's tough. He did the classy thing though. The
Yeah.
Doc Rivers too. Yeah. So see,
I
that's
like,
stupid. Come
yeah,
on.
I would say give it to the next guy. I don't know
Give
who
it.
the next coach is, but I think give it to the next guy or someone like that, or the next coach that was available in the third best team. Tom
Right.
Thibodeau, the Knicks, maybe got it. I don't know, like something like that. But
Give it
very
to the next guy, man. Come on.
yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah.
Um, and then the next topic is I like this one, nepotism in sports. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So that kind of like um I had saw something about like how the world works, nepotism and business and stuff like that. And then I started to think about Steph Curry, his dad. I started to think about Bronny, his dad.
Right.
You know, kind of. I started thinking about Giannis, his brothers. Like some of these people, I can understand that people get angry because these players who aren't as good are taking up a $1 million spot from somebody who's actually working their butt off trying to make their own way. And just because that's your brother or that's your father or that's your cousin, you get in.
Right.
So I thought that kind of sucked. But even though the world might suck, that's the reality of life, right? So in business, if am I gonna hire my brother, my mother, my father, or I'm gonna hire this guy that I don't know? He may be qualified, but my genes tell me to, you know, go with my fam.
Right.
You know? So
It's
what do you think about it?
I think it's an interesting I never really thought of it before until you just brought it up, but I think it's an interesting topic for sure to bring up because yeah, Giannis's brother Giannis I think is part of one of the reasons why Adrian Griffin got fired from the Bucks. And I think because you have to choose who you want to keep happy and
Yep.
head coaches, I guess, are easy to come through, but like Giannis is kind of taking up a roster spot, and I know he's I mean he's obviously NBA qualified talent or G League or Europe, but
G League.
G League,
G-
yeah,
There's a lot of guys in the G League that can really, really hoop, though.
right,
That could maybe not you won't put them in the game, maybe, but they'll be a better practice player. They'll, you know, whatever the case may be, they need to get a shot.
right,
So it's kind of like you have to accept the reality that this is how things work.
right.
Nepotism just trained into everything. I mean, from businesses into just doing favors. Like if you need me to help you move, and my sister asked me to help her move on the same day, who do you think I'm going to go to?
Your sister,
Even if you ask first,
yeah, it's obviously gonna be family first. It's
obviously family first. So that's the reality. And it's not fair, but I thought it was an interesting topic to see. And that goes for everything in NBA team, like videographers, player development. I mean, down to the guys that clean the floor, right? That's somebody's uncle somewhere. That kind of stuff happens all the time. You know what I mean? So it's something you can't get away from, really. But I thought it's something to shine a light on. You know what I'm saying?
it is. It is. It's an interesting topic. I think same thing with Bronny. It'd be interesting because I personally don't think, and maybe I'll get hate for it. And I don't know, Bronny James isn't ready for the NBA. He's not playing at a level where I think he should get drafted over a guy that is playing at that level. And that's not fair. He for him to get a guaranteed contract when he really doesn't need the money, and someone that could use the money or a guaranteed contract could help them in a situation where it's a big situation, but people are going to get him just to get LeBron so they can, obviously it drives economics up in
Right.
the area because LeBron brings a whole different crowd and yada yada yada. But like it's still kind of like interesting to how much attention he draws as well too when like other guys, there's a lot of great players out there that should serve a lot of attention and draw a lot of should be out there playing. And I don't know, it's just interesting. I think like you said, nepotism's in everything.
It's having everything, man. I mean,
It's crazy.
who I want to cut my lawn? Am I going to hire my cousin's business to cut my lawn? It's like that's just something that you really can't get away from, but you need to have boundaries on it.
Yeah.
Something, but you can't escape it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how it is in sports, and like it's very true. Like how much you see guys that are on the coaching staffs or in the league or part of the league because they know X Y they're related to X Y and Z, or their dad was Larry Bird or their dad was Magic Johnson, or it's just like, and they could probably be a terrible coach, but hey, guess what? Like we're gonna hire them because they know so and so assistant coach. And like I said, it does stink for those guys who are trying to get into the world of coaching or try to get into the world of sports business and they can't.
Right.
Right.
Hogging that, man.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's a great topic. Honestly, I never really would have thought of it, but I think that's a really good topic to have.
Sure.
All right. Last sports subject here is the Super Bowl, the big game, the granddaddy of them all is who I can't remember who said that, but 49ers and Chiefs are playing each other this Sunday. We'll see. I mean, it's an interesting matchup between, the last pick of the draft of last year and one of the top quarterbacks that everyone's trying to compare him to the GOAT. What are your thoughts on the Super Bowl coming up?
Who do you think is going to win? That's what I want to know.
So I'm a 49ers fan, so I'm gonna go with my team. I think the 49ers are gonna win. I won't. I mean, I don't. I am nervous. I do think.
I was about to say Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, it's Patrick Mahomes is got that Jordan effect, that LeBron effect. He's on that team. It's just gonna be. They're bound to win, or there'll be something. If I was just joking with my dad today, I was like, I hope the Niners go up by like 50 in the first half, and I can go to bed early and call it a night. But even then, I don't even pick 50 in the first half as a protective lead against what happens. Yeah.
That's not a good parlay right there. That's not a good parlay.
No, definitely not. So
I think you don't bet against Tom Brady. You don't bet against Mahomes. I think he has, like you said, that Jordan effect. It's like Jordan just being on the floor in like in the fourth quarter, down 13, 4 minutes ago, you just still have this sense of he's gonna make it happen. He's just gonna pull it out, Yeah. So I think that Kansas City, it's gonna be a tough game for the Niners, man. I'm not gonna lie. Kansas City really seemed like an overwhelming force right now to me.
Yeah,
So,
it's not going to be an easy game, especially the way the Niners been playing. They've been playing from behind in the last
right.
two games, and they really need to figure something out where they're not, and the defense needs to be, has to come out and play really well. The offense needs to come out and play really like Brock Purdy might have to play his best
Best
ever.
game. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that it ever have
But
to
it's
play.
it's definitely possible. I
Oh yeah,
think it's anything is possible. I'm not gonna say it's anybody's game. It's Kansas City's game to lose.
right, right. Kansas City is a team where they remind me of the Warriors too, where they can go down big and just put up a ton of points and a half
That's,
because
yeah.
Mahomes. It's Mahomes. Everywhere everyone says Mahomes, 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 and it's true. And I just want to like jump on a subject though too, being a Niners fan. I don't get why Brock Purdy gets so much hate for being a second-year quarterback. Made it to two NFC Championship games, played one half of the season 1 year, and then came in as a starter, and like everyone just hates on him. It just I don't know if it's the Niners hate. I mean, everyone now is back in his corner because they don't want to see Taylor Swift or Kelsey and all those guys win. But it just cracks me up how much hate one guy can get for being a just a second year quarterback. And I know he has like a good system around him and everything, but it just drives me it kind of just drives me nuts. I'm like he like had great I mean he had to play great in the second half against the Lions. He had to do X, Y, and Z. Why can't you just like him? I don't
Just
know.
like
Yeah. But
Kansas City, man, their fan base is really. Hey, I used to be a Chiefs fan like back in the day, back Deontay Hall days. That's way
really?
that's way way back. That's when I was playing Madden all the time. I don't know what it is, man. You think people would love a good underdog story, right?
Right. That's what I was thinking. I was like, geez, this is like a perfect underdog story. Last pick of the NFL draft, third string last year, the starter, to almost going to the Super Bowl. Now back
I,
in it again in the Super Bowl. So it cracks me up in some sort of way though. It just makes me laugh that people are like there's a bunch of criticism to him. So
that's good for him though, because if he does have that game you were talking about, then he's gonna look really good after.
right. Right, exactly. And I
Don't
hope so.
even back lost. Hey, it's the second year he lost. Whatever. Just
Right.
back to the drawing board. But if he wins, there's a lot more upside for him than downside for the team. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even if he plays well and they lose, he's still going to do what he's supposed to do. So
Right.
it's going. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
And on what's that?
Chiefs game to lose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone's got the Chiefs. I don't know. It's I mean, except for like Niner fans and maybe some people are gamblers that are just like maybe I'm leaning towards the 49ers. So but yeah, I don't know. All I know is Christian McCaffrey's getting married in my hometown, and so I gotta find a way to get to that wedding.
Wedding.
You're right.
Do I need to get a ticket?
Yeah, come on up.
I don't
Well,
mind that. A black suit.
yeah, yeah. We'll
So,
sneak in there. We can get in there. No problem.
on
Uh,
everything.
yeah. Well, Jason, this has been a fun episode. Great to talk about villains. Looking forward to next week's. We do heroes that we hate
Oh,
and
yeah.
that we wish turned into villains. I think that would be a great subject for next week.
Nice. Oh yeah. Tune in. Tune in.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for tuning in, watching. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button, and appreciate you guys.